What's up guys, live here with Pro Play Games, and I'm George Machado. Just came back from the first national championship for Dragon Ball Super. Super excited, it was really fun. Shout out to Bandai for putting it all together. National championship for a game this young was really phenomenal, and shout out to them for really making it happen. So great job so far with the game. Bandai's been doing a phenomenal job just with everything on the organized play front. So without further ado, I did play in the national championship. I was only able to play one time this season, unfortunately. We were tournament organizing a lot of events for Bandai, so we were hosting a lot of the regionals, making sure that those ran professionally and smoothly. Great feedback from the community. Obviously, this season was a great success. Everybody loved the PPG events that were sponsored by Bandai. So very successful on that front. But thankfully, I was able to secure that national championship invite in that first regional of the season, hosted at Gen Con, which wasn't hosted by PPG, so it was perfect. Was able to secure my invite at the first regional, so I didn't have anything to worry about the whole season until the national championship. Of course, this weekend, we grinded and grinded. Shout out to all the boys that really made it happen. Justin Rios, Peter Catani, Jonathan, Andrew Duvall, all those guys, just phenomenal players. Marcel, of course, too. And we were able to secure a top 8 finish. So words cannot express how much that means to me and my players. I'm glad that I was able to represent them well. Of course, without them, I wouldn't have gotten that far. So I can't really take 100% of the credit. They worked really hard, day in and day out. We stayed till 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. My wife really didn't like that. But we made it happen. We put in the time, and we produced very solid results. So shout out to them. They did phenomenal. Unfortunately, we only had 3 in the top 32, but that was the most, or tied for the most, in top 32 from any team. So still something to not take very lightly. Unfortunately, 2 of our players did have to face off in the top 32. So I was the only one still alive all the way into top 8, and that's where I lost, unfortunately. But other than that, without further ado, I played something unique. Not Storm. Yeah, you heard that right. We decided to play a tier 2 deck, and we actually got there really far with some meta choices that you're going to see coming up right up. Thank you, guys. So for the event, first off, we were able to cash out really well. We got a $525 voucher, so it's pretty much just a gift card that you can use on anything, right? So fantastic. And then one of these exclusive metal cards. So this is similar to just a prize card, essentially. There's only X of them made in the entire world. Collectors from all over the world and advocates or collectors of the Dragon Ball Super card game, or Dragon Ball Super itself, or Dragon Ball franchise. There's only about 12 of these in existence. So super cool, memorable thing to walk away from. Very exclusive. It's pretty heavy, really nice rigid structure, very nice, nicely well designed. They're made after some of the leaders. So I believe there's 5 different ones. First place got a Shenron, second place got a Pan, third place got a Soul Striker, and then 4th through 16th, which is where I placed about 5th or 6th place, got this one right here, Super Saiyan 4, Goku. And then, let me just, a little bit closer. Ooh, focus, I don't know, focus, yeah, boom, perfect. Looks really cool. There's the backside right there. And then 17th through 32nd got a Cell. But then there was a Gunslinger side event that the Cell was also given out to. So I don't know if this one was given out. But anyways, nonetheless, we got that and 6 boxes. So fantastic prize support on top of all the promo packs that you usually get for participating in tournaments. But nonetheless, without further ado, let's get to the deck. We played Android 17, Diabolic Duo, Androids 17 and 18. So for those of you who might have forgotten or don't know, new to the game, this is a very powerful leader. It's a green leader, so you don't have many powerful tools like Dimension Magic and Unyielding Spirit Trunks and Legendary Flute, but you do have a very deadly engine that you could be playing, and we were playing 2 different ones here. And why we chose Android 17 instead of the Super 17 is, this is just something that gives you a little bit more mana efficiency or energy efficiency when playing threats. The other one is a little bit better if you want to have a big turn and you want to untap energy. So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth in on Patreon profile, so please make sure you check that out. If you aren't a part of the PBG Patreon, you get a lot of good exclusive content. We actually tell you a lot of things that we normally wouldn't say in YouTube profiles or wouldn't tell people. We kind of give you that inside edge, that competitive edge, and I know a lot of people that do well because of that information. So definitely check it out if you haven't already, patreon.com/PBGDBS. We'll have another extended deck profile. I'm gonna make this one short and sweet for you guys so you can see exactly what we were working with. Whoa. All right, so first card in the entire deck. I'm just gonna go over the super combo first because very, super combos usually don't require explaining, but this one's very powerful. We use this one instead of the Stout-Hearted 16 because it's a 0-10K no matter what. So the other one is a 0+0, and if you're at 4 or less, you'll get plus 10K. Now this one doesn't matter if you're at 5 life, 6 life, 7 life, 8 life, which is a problem with this leader sometimes. It's very hard to awaken. So this was just something that helps you not get double striked and stuff like that. So very powerful. The drawing the card is also very good in certain matchups, so it wasn't that bad. Now for our 1-drops, we were playing the Infernal Emperor Frieza. You need some sort of self-awaken in this deck. You really want to self-awaken or be awakened by your turn 2 the latest, just because you want to start netting cards and seeing cards that way you can get your Cell Chain. So and then the other self-awaken card we played is Dark Power Black Mass Sane. Now this card not only is a self-awakener, but it's also something that can help you in certain matchups. So it was like, hitting 2 different roles, and there was almost no reason not to play this, honestly. The only reason this wasn't 4 and this wasn't 2 is because this is green energy, and that's pretty much it. Oh, also Crisis Crusher stops this card. Next, for the 1-drops or 1 energy cards, we were playing 2 Speedy Surprise Attacks. Now, shout out to Justin on this one. This was a meta call. We just didn't want to lose really hard to Storm and just have as many, we wanted to have the strongest matchup against Storm, and this was one of the cards that helped us do that. On top of course, the powerful negate out of set 5, the Shocking Death Ball. Now, this has to be one of the top, all the negates are really good. I just want to say this is the 3rd best free negate, quote unquote, because they all are, they all have a cost, of course, but this one has a sparking of 5 once you have 5 or more in your drop, which is very easy in this deck. All it takes is 1 destroyed Cell Chain and you got 5 in the drop, and it allows you to take a life instead of paying the cost. So you can actually tap out on Cell Chain. If they kill your Cell Chain and try to kill you, you have Shocking Death Ball as a counter, and it's also a form of a removal. It will destroy a 2 or less energy creature on activation. So very, very powerful against a lot of different matchups, actually. Next thing we're going to go into is the Android lineup. Now, of course, you need to play Androids 17 and 18, not only because they're, it's a 17 and 18 deck and it's a leader that, makes those cards better because they make them cheaper, but because you need them for the Cell Chain. So for the first copy of Android 17 that we played the Energy Guard Android 17 from Tournament of Power. This guy's really, really good. He is a blocker. He is 3 energy, but with this leader, he's always 2. So you do need to pay 2 for him, but he's very strong because he's an offensive and defensive threat. He can attack your opponent and then at end of turn just restand himself. So very good when applying pressure to your opponent, and especially against all these big decks that put out a big dude that you need to block or you need to have blockers against. It's just something that is just extremely powerful for 2 energy, and when you're fully awakened, 4 or less life is what I'm talking about, and all your androids have a power boost. He's actually a 20k blocker and attacker, so super good card. And then we only played 1 more copy of an Android 17, and we selected the Limitless Energy 17 from Ultimate Box. So this one's actually a little bit harder to find because you need to buy very expensive product to get it, but nonetheless this card is very, very good because it does allow you to also play the offense defense route. It does not restand itself at end of turn like the Energy Guard, but it does give you the power of removal. So on summon, on casting of this card, you can actually destroy any creature your opponent controls. So Very, very good card at getting rid of opposing cell chains or getting rid of opposing very big creatures that don't have barrier. Unfortunately, a lot of them do have barriers nowadays. But regardless, this guy for only 3 energy, of course, because you're playing the Android 17 leader, he does allow you to put a lot of pressure. Investing 3 energy gives you a 20k body or 25k if you're fully awakened with the Diabolical Duos, which is very, very good. It's just a lot of pressure, and not to mention he also has barrier. So that's the only downside to this one right here. The energy guard is that he does not have barrier, but this one does have barrier. So very, very good card. Then that was it for the 17s. Now we're just talking about the 18s, and for the 18s we did choose a lower count. The reasoning is 17s are just a little bit easier to cast, or a little bit better to cast. Usually you want to play them. The 18s not as much. I mean, you always want to play this one, the other one not as much, but Deadly Defender Android 18. This is also a new card from set 5, which is why this deck is seeing a little bit more of a resurgence because of these 2 main cards right here. Set 5 gave androids some new toys, and these are the 2 that really put it a little bit over the top in our opinion. Now this one is interesting because it does give you an ability that was only exclusive to blue before, and now green has it, which it's a barrier card. So no matter what, whether it's tapped or not tapped, it'll have barrier. So that's something fantastic. There's sometimes that you don't want to swing with this card, right? And it's 20k. So for only, obviously it's costed at 3, but with the leader it's 2. You get a 20k. So that's even better than investing 2 into your energy guard. So this card is almost infinitely better almost all the time. Only in specific scenarios is it not. But it also has a permanent that when it's in rest mode, so after you attack with it, it actually makes itself be the target of attacks. So your opponent can no longer attack your leader, and now they must direct all attacks to the Android 18. And that just makes it just even better, especially because when we side deck in some special cards, it makes it even more hard to deal with. But very good, especially against Storm matchups. These were the 2 specific cards that made it a little bit better against Storm, so that you didn't just outright lose like you did in the past playing this deck. It is still very difficult, but Twin Sister Android 18 is the next Android 18 that we played. This is the final Android 18 that we played. Like I said, we're playing one less copy of 18s and 17s. You usually just want the 17 to go into the 5-drop. If you can't go into the 7-drop every time, it's not that big of a deal. The one difference in Android count will not really affect that, or it didn't really affect that for me at all. So this one's a little bit more powerful than the other one. We tested it a few times. Just being able to restand and put additional pressure with your androids is just something that's really good. Shout out to Peter Catani and Justin Rios for the recommendation, because I was actually playing the critical one, but they shed the light on me. Now we did play the brand new chain out of, I'm gonna put this right here, the brand new chain from set 5, the Super 17 engine. So the Super 17 engine is very, very powerful because it's almost similarly costed to the Cell Chain engine in the way that they're all, the main or the starting chain piece is 3 energy. Unfortunately, this is a Super 17, so it will not get a discounted cost from your leader, but nonetheless, it is very powerful because it does have barrier. So you can just play it and pass your turn, and then use it whenever you like. Now, the Union Absorb on this guy is you can place 1 Android 17, so an actual Android 17, so one of these 2, which is another reason why we play more 17s than 18s. You place 1 card, 117 from your drop or your hand under him, and then he fetches any 4 energy Super 17 card. So there's 2 different ones right now that exist. We only played one of them. But it's very powerful because this Super 17 to Further Heights, also from set 5, is almost similar to Evolving Evil Cell, where as soon as it's being played, it actually KOs an opponent's card. So that's very good, especially in the mirror match, being able to just like kill opposing cells, or like I said, there's a lot of big creatures that will stick around. At all costs, Vegeta sometimes will stick around, and you just want to get it off board as soon as possible. It just gives you more removal. You know, now you have not only Limitless Energy or Cell Chain, but you also have the Super 17 chain. Now, the beautiful part about this is it does have barrier. So not only does it have barrier, it also has deflect. I don't know a scenario where this card would be, you know, counterplayed, but good good ability that it has is that barrier ability, because the downside to this card is that its next Union Absorb is actually costs energy. So you actually need 4 energy for this Union Absorb. This one's free, but this one costs 4. So by this costing 4, you realistically can't do it all in the same turn. You realistically can't pay 4 to play this and then pay another 4 to Union Absorb, because that's at 8 energy. That never happens. Or, you know, playing this on 3 and then paying 4 to go on to the next chain. That almost never happens. So you do need him to survive. So if your opponent has cards that really get through barrier, it'll be difficult to level him up, but otherwise it's still very powerful, because you can mill this against the mill Janemba decks, and you can always level up from the drop area. So your opponent actually just helps you, and you don't have to thin your deck another card to actually level up like you do with Cell Chain. Last part of the piece is Super 17 Cell Absorb. Now this was the ratios that we went with, 3, 2, 1. Looks really odd, right? But because this chain can be leveled up from anywhere, all you need to do is draw this piece or this piece, and then the other pieces can be anywhere from your drop to your hand. It doesn't matter. Or deck, actually. You can bring them out from the deck too, but you normally just want to bring them out from the drop. This is just very, very powerful. It's just a very powerful card. It's the whole reason why we play this, the whole chain. This is one of the super rares. I was playing with the super rare for the whole tournament. Super sad, so I just switched it over. Now I was able to find one, and I was like, yes, this card looks amazing. I really like how the SPRs look. But it's very powerful, because not only does it come out for the 4 on top of the Super 17 to further heights, but it has critical, which none of these have, and it has deflect, and it has dual attack. Dual attack is the most powerful. Dual attack and critical, I think, are the most appealing keywords on this card. 20k base is not the most appealing. Obviously, it doesn't get any stronger from one to the other, which is pretty unfortunate, but otherwise it's very good. It does have a sparking 10, so unfortunately we're not able to play any overwhelm in this deck if we really even want to get this card off, which is, you know, a pretty big negative. You don't want to really give away the chance of overwhelm in a deck that can get 5 in the drop after, you know, one of your opponent's plays or anything like that. But it still worked out fantastic. It's still a card that was worth playing for me. I didn't really miss the overwhelm or the Toas or the Foos or any other overwhelm that I could have played in the main deck. Not only does it conflict with the Sparking 10, but it also conflicts with being able to Union Absorb from the drop area, and it also hurts your Sparking on Shocking Death Ball. And obviously the reason why we don't play the Sparking super combo. So, a very powerful card, because every time it attacks, your opponent actually has to send 2 cards from their hand to the drop area. So on the first attack, you usually want to lead off with just an attack on this, and then your opponent discards 2, and then they can negate, or they can Mafuba, whatever. Even if they Mafuba, it's not devastating. Your opponent just lost 3 cards for essentially 4 energy, which is, I mean, it's okay, but this is going to come back and put more pressure on them later. So it's not the worst thing in the world. That's probably the worst thing that can happen to this card. But other than that, it's just very powerful, especially after a Cell Chain. Your opponent almost has no way of coming back after that. Speaking of Cell Chain, we of course are playing Cell Chain. What's an Android deck without Cell Chain, right? So this helps us keep the more unfair decks in check. So of course we were playing 4 copies of each. There's not really another ratio that we can get away with. We tried playing the deck without Cell Chain, and then we tried playing it with a lower count of Cell Chain, and it just never worked out. So Cell Chain is just something that needs to be, you know, in this deck, especially with all the draw power of being able to flip and draw 2. Just makes it even better, because it's much easier to find your pieces, and the Self-Awakening really helps too. So it's really consistent how you get this on turn 3 for the most part. And then the final piece of the Cell Chain that not a lot of people play, or people just trim because it's hard to like fit in everything in the same deck. That's that's usually what the problem with this deck is. You don't have too much space to do things, and that's why I really have to give credit to Justin and Peter. They really helped bounce back ideas and really perfect the deck leading up to the event. So we have the Vial Replication Cell, and all we had to do was play one, which really came in clutch really against my top 16 match with Rishi, which was a Storm deck. You know, you wouldn't really think that you would go into this deck again you would go into this card against Storm, but thankfully I didn't side it out, because that was a card that I was about to side out. I think I needed to side out one more card, and I was like, what do I side out? And I was like, I was about to side him out, and he literally came in clutch game 3, and that's how I was able to win the game. I think no, actually it was game 2. Game 2 it came in clutch. I think I lost game 1 miserably, and then game 2 I was able to win off the back of Vial Replication Cell. Now, not only does he net 2 cards on the ability when it comes out to play, so you can actually go 3-drop into 5-drop, kill a creature, draw a card, then charge an 18 to go into Vial Replication, or you can go straight into the Vial Replication Cell if you run out of 5s. But obviously, if you have the 5, then you want to go into this first, then this. But if you're missing like an 18 or something, you can just charge a 17 under him and go into this, which is really cool too. That never popped up, but I mean, it can happen. People, like, I'm not gonna lie and say that it's impossible for you to go through all these cards, because sometimes you draw these, or sometimes they're in your life, and then you're just like, well, there goes that. But that's why I like this deck. It can win without Cell Chain, and it has another Cell Chain if you do end up having that unfortunate scenario of drawing them all or milling them all against mill, you know, whatever the case is. But the reason why this card is so good is because not only does it net you 2 cards, it nets you 2 cards on the field. So 2 tokens with 10k power and 5k combo. So they can actually put pressure on your opponent, or they can actually just, you can off them as additional combo power. So this can be a 30k one time, you know, if you really wanted to. Too much of a problem, but we have a lot more space to innovate in the main board. But next we have Deadly Defender. Destined Deed. Might as well be a Deadly Defender, but the Destined Deed Krillin. This is the free blocker that's available if you have an 18 out on board. So fun fact, you can't play this if you're not awakened for free, unless you have one of these in your battle area. But normally you just want to be awakened against Storm, you know, be at 6 life or 4 life or whatever life, as long as you're awakened, and then just play these and just, you know, have that absorb that mirror attack, or have that absorb that Scientist Fu attack, or anything that you think might be very critical to your life. Next card on the sideboard was Combo Killer Anilaza. Anilaza is a very powerful card. It does play with the whole hand destruction. It was just very powerful. It's very good against decks that really just want a combo to defend their life from Cell Chain. So you kind of just like play this, and then you attack, and then they don't want a combo. They take the life, and then you Cell Chain them, and then like, you know, it's pretty much a paradox. And it's another card that I would love to put in the main board, like I said, but because of the limitations of you know, the 50 card deck and, you know, everything that you have to play in the main board, it's just really hard to do so. Next card against Storm was the Crisis Crusher Son Goku. Now, this card, mixed feelings about it. I mean, the Shocking Death Ball kills the 1-drops anyways, so they normally just don't want to swing with the 1-drops, but I guess it's just safe to have anyways against Storm players that don't respect like the counters that you have. It's cool, and then later on in the game, when your opponent's just not attacking you with 1-drops, it's a nice 5k. Like, I've comboed this guy off like turn 3 a lot of times, or turn 2, after they finish all their shenanigans. It's been something that is, I'm not 100% sold on, but I think other decks take advantage of this card a lot more, like decks that absolutely lose the Storm, like Shenron. But next card was Expanding Energy Android 17. This is another copy of Android 17 that we play in the sideboard. This is just very good against a mirror match. They like cell drop you or whatever, cell chain you. It's just good to replenish back from it. Not only does it have double strike, but it's a 20k base, so it actually goes up to 25k if you're awakened. And for 4 energy, it's pretty devastating. This is a card that I actually could have won my top 16 match if I played it, but my opponent had negate, so thankfully I did not play. I did not play it, because I would have tapped out and probably just lost infinitely harder on the next turn. But I actually decided to go with the Deadly Defender play. But even though I still lost, I think that was the correct play. But I was unfortunately not able to play this card all weekend. I really wanted to. I had opportunities to do it. And actually, I did end up losing that game because when I played this, I had this in my hand, and I had like this one in my hand. So I had like two 10Ks in my hand, and all I needed was 5K to out-combo him, and he wouldn't have been able to put up another big number to kill this. And it was unfortunate. I was stuck tapped out with two 10Ks in hand, tying in power levels. Next card, Massain, the Mysterious Warrior. Now, this is the one only Overwhelm card that we play in the entire deck, and the reason why we play it is solely for Storm for the most part. I didn't really encounter another matchup where I want this card. It does make this little chain harder to do, which is why we normally just side this out with this, and it's just something that helps you get rid of like 2 Gotens, so you feel like less suffocated. It can kill also a Goten and a Sen Goku, and then you can use this to attack a Goku or a Sen Goten or whatever. You usually want to attack the Sen Goten, but or on the off chance this can actually not only kill them, but because Storm is very aggressive with their life, you can actually kill them because it has double strike. And your deck inherently doesn't have much double strike except for Cell Chain, so on 1 energy they might be reckless and then they just lose to this. Next is final card in the sideboard is 1 Speedy Surprise Attack. Now I really wanted to find space for it in the main deck, and we just couldn't. So we thought 6 negates in the main board was fine, and then just having access to 1 more just in case. But it was pretty clutch. I mean, there was a lot of times that I charged it. Sometimes I just drew too many negates against Storm. Go figure, right? You just got to draw the even amount, and you got to be able to see it, right? So maybe the third one's not needed. Maybe we can free up that spot. But that's pretty much it, guys. That is my deck. It was really good. It was really consistent. Shout out again to Justin and Peter. Peter's idea was the 17 chain, and Justin just helped make the deck flow with the ratios. So very, very good. So that's pretty much it for the deck, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I'm sorry if it was a little bit too long. I tried to make it very interactive and easy for newer players to pick up this deck and be able to play it. If you want it even more in depth, and if you're a little bit more experienced in the game and you just want to play this at an actual competitive event, I highly suggest subscribing to the Patreon. That's where I break down exactly what cards are good in each matchup, and what I would side in and what would I side out, and why exactly the ratios were the way they were, and what are the good matchups and what are the bad matchups. We pretty much break down the deck and just unveil all the secrets behind it and all the stuff that we put in countless of hours playtesting into. There is another big event next month in December, so that's going to be a 5K. Make sure you guys come out to that. It's going to be in Orlando, so we're going to be in Orlando again. And it's going to be really exciting. Another big thing that Bandai announced was the celebration that's going to be happening in Orlando as well. We're going to be hosting that again in Orlando, and that's going to be really big. So more details on that are coming soon. Just make sure you stay tuned to pbgeventmanagement.com. That's where we're going to post all the information for these events. But otherwise, I want to give a shout out to everyone from the team. Everyone put in countless hours just testing and testing. We had like 10 different decks that we could have taken, and we just knew every deck inside and out. So it proved beneficial. Everybody really had a strong deck. Most of us were on this same deck. Jonathan went and ventured into his own innovative deck, and Eric too, and Marcel, if he would have came, shout out to him too. He missed his flight unfortunately, but I know he would have done fantastic. I know he would have done like great. But he was playing a really cool, interesting turn 3 Boo deck that just kills you on turn 3, like almost 95% of the time. Super crazy. But Eric was able to play it, and he did pretty well. He finished in top 32, getting team killed by our teammate Jonathan. But otherwise, very good event. Fantastic job by everyone in the team. It was just really good to go out there and play again. I haven't played in months in an actual tournament, in an actual premier tournament. So I was lucky enough to be able to actually perform with my team and show them that I still got it. But top 8 performance once again. I played against 6 Storms, 1 Android, and 3 Janemba Mill, I believe. It was like a total of 12 rounds, like 9 rounds day 1. I lost 2. I lost to a Storm. That opened just those Storm openings that you just can't beat no matter what. And then The second loss was to the Shenron Gogeta deck. So if you don't cell chain them early, they just like get rolling, they objection, and then they just like, before you know it, they like double world peas and just kill you. So very cool and interesting deck, but those were my only 2 losses. Everything else was a win. And like I said, I took down almost every Storm deck. I only lost to 1 Storm deck the entire time. So we made sure that if we took a deck that wasn't Storm, that we didn't lose to Storm. That's why it was so hard, because almost every deck has a pretty tough matchup against Storm. And if it beats Storm 100%, it loses to something else 100%. So it was a really hard format. So a shout out to everyone that topped, because not only did they maybe get favorable matchups, but at the end of the day, you can get favorable matchups and still punt the game. So very good job by everyone who topped. And shout out to the national champion Jordan Markle. He was able to pilot Storm to a Storm mirror match finals. Surprise, surprise, right? I just didn't really want to play Storm. It's too boring of a deck for me. But I'm glad we were able to take androids, and everybody seemed really excited about it. So I was glad to put up an actual reputable performance for androids at the national level. And Bandai was like cheering on. They were like, "Oh yeah, androids gonna win." So I let them down. I let everybody that was cheering me on. Sorry for letting you down. Honestly, I feel like I could have gone farther, but there were some just unfortunate events that happened leading into that match that just we weren't able to take it home. So there's always next time. Can't wait for the next national championship. Probably the next time that I'll play in the foreseeable future, except for December. I mean, we'll definitely be playing at the 5K. I think that one's worth playing in. So if you guys see us there, come say hi. Thank you to everyone that came up and said hi. Really appreciate it. Everybody that loved what we were doing. Loved that we were bringing additional events to the Dragon Ball circuit with the Pro Play Tour, putting up 5K for all our events. It's going to be a new time, new era in 2019 with some Bandai announcements, with our announcements, with the Pro Play Tour locations coming in the next week or so, and the 5K prize pool at all our events. It's just going to be a very, very successful year for Dragon Ball Super and for all our trading card games. So thank you guys again for watching the deck profile. Once again, shout out to our sponsors. Ultra Pro, fantastic. They actually sponsored the whole national championship. These top mats are actually made by Ultra Pro, so you can really tell the difference in quality. So thank you again, Ultra Pro, fantastic sponsors. Till next time, guys. See you.